Hello everybody and welcome back. We're looking at question 24 in this video. Question 24 from the Waterloo Pascal paper from the year 2007. Starting with the 1 in the center, the spiral of consecutive integers continues as shown. So here we go 2, then up to 3, and we sort of go around and around and around and around. So next would be 18, then 19, 20, and so on. So it continues as shown. What is the sum of the number that appears directly above 2007 and the number that appears directly below 2007? Okay. Well, what are we to do with this sort of a question? It's a spiral, but look at these numbers. They're very tiny. We're nowhere near knowing where 2007 exactly is, let alone what numbers are near it. Now, obviously, it probably goes something like 2006, 2007, 2008, but does that appear on the bottom here, or is it ascending? You know, up on the side here. Where is it? Or is 2007 on a corner? And even if these, like, we'll be really lucky if it turns out it's something like this, because then we know the numbers above and below are 2008 and 2006. And so the answer would be 4014, which is A, so that's a possibility. But if it were something like this along the bottom or reversed along the top, we'd have to figure out what's above 2007 and below, and that could be pretty difficult. So, to try and handle this question, I think it's probably best to try and understand the spiral and notice what we can about patterns here. And we can fill it in. And I'd like to stop at 25 for a moment and realize, hey, we just finished a square. So yeah, naturally the last number we wrote is a square. It's an odd square, and if I start looking, I realize there are other odd squares. 1, 9, 25. I should reasonably guess that 49 is down here in the middle of the word and from the next problem. Okay? And we could test that, and it might take a little longer to realize that pattern. And then we could also realize, well, where are the even squares? Well, they're going up like this. So it might be helpful to pick a square, because we can predict where the squares are going to be, as sort of an anchor point. You know, we'll find out the nearest square to 2007, and we'll figure out where it is relative to that point. Okay? So, and by no means do you have to do this, or are you able to do this just by looking at it. I've done a lot of these questions, and I've seen this sort of a spiral a number of times, so that's how I'm easily able to jump and say, well, let's look for squares. But it might take you just messing around, fiddling this thing out even more and more before you realize what exactly you're looking for. And you might not even pick up on the square thing. It might be some other pattern you notice. But once we have a pattern, we can sort of say, well, I can predict a future point in the spiral with accuracy. Let's go from there. So we can notice things like our odd squares. Oop, not 5. 5's not a square. 9 here, 25. And 49 and so on. And you could, if you wanted to predict that, you could write out a few more and double check. Yeah, 49 is going to appear there. What's next? 81 and so on. So what are the squares around 2007? Okay, that's something we should know. Well, the nearest square to 2007 is 45 squared, and you can figure that out by playing around on your calculator. The easiest thing to do, square root 2007 on your calculator, you'll get 44 point something or other. So test 44, see how close that is. That's 1936. And test the next one, which is 45, you'll get 2025. That's not that far away. All right. So what else can we notice? Well, actually, let's redraw the key points of our spiral. We know where the odd squares are. And we know there's an odd square and an even square near 2007. So we get 1, we have 9. We have 25, and it just keeps going, 49. And then the even squares go off like this. So at some point out here, we're going to get 1936. And we always approach the even numbers this way, and we go down from here. Then we head over, and eventually we hit 2025, and we start heading up. So now, where is 2007? Is it right here on the corner? Is it somewhere along this vertical? Or is it somewhere over here? Okay, how could we figure that out? That's the challenge now. Well, it's really close to 2025, so I'm inclined to believe that it's on the bottom line, the bottom side of the square, the south-facing wall almost. But how would I be able to show that? How would I be able to reason that? Well, again, we can go back and sort of hunt patterns a bit. So now, what have we got here? So I'm going to sort of pick this line here, the line that's on the northeast, south, the west side of the 1 and the 4. I'm going to fix on this line. So now to go from 9 over to the 1, there's 1 space. Okay, 9 is 3 squared. That's 2 times 1 plus 1 squared. We go over 1 space. 25, to get over to this red line, we go over 2 spaces. 25 is 2 times 2 plus 1 squared. 49 is 7 squared. That's 2 times 3 plus 1 squared. And we go over 3 spaces to get to this fella here. Okay. So, if that's the case, where do we want to go from there? So, 2025, that's 45 squared. 45 is 2 times 22 plus 1. So, I should have 22 squares here. 22 of the red squares, and then we hit 2025. So that would mean, 2024 is here, then 2023, all the way down to this last one here, which will be 2003. Right? And before it is 2004, and we can actually figure out where 2007 is. And 2007 is definitely on this south-facing wall. 2005, 2006, and then we get 2007 in here. Excuse me. Okay, so 2007 definitely on the south-facing wall. We need to figure out what's above it and what's below it. How are we going to do that? Well, let's draw our picture again a little bit. Again, I'm going to have this red line in. I don't think we need to focus on the even squares. But we can get this 1 in here, 9, 25, 49. We'll add in 81 just for fun. And it keeps going down. We get 2025. And before it is 2024. And over here we get 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, and 2007, which is actually right below the 81. Well, not right below, but it is below the 81. There's a bunch of numbers in between. So 2007 is sort of the 5th square over from this red line. This line that is on the east side of the 1. All right. Let's get green out here. So now, if I'm thinking about the line above, actually, let's redraw a little bit of this, because I'm going to need the line above and below. So we got 2024, 2025. Now, the odd square that's just before that is 43 squared, which I don't know off the top of my head. I'm going to grab my calculator. 43 times 43, 1849. Okay. What's the next one? 47 squared. And that's 2209. All right, fine. How are these going to help us? Well, we know the endpoints here, or these squares, these anchoring squares, where they are. And we also know how far back we need to go to get to this red line. You know, on the previous line it was 22. On the line above, we'll need to go back 21 spaces. So 1849 minus 21, we'll be looking at 1828. Then 1829, 1830, 1831. 1832 is what's going to be above the 2007 because it's 5 spaces over. Similarly, there's 23 that we need to go back from the 2009 to get to this line here. So 2209 minus 23. This one's going to be 2186, then 87, 88, 89. So it'll be 2190 is the one below the 2007. So now I know the number above, I know the number below. I can, add them? 2190. 7, 2, carry the 1, 0, carry the 1, and we get 4027. Is that one of the possible answers? It's not. Oh, silly me. This is a 2, not a 7. So we'll put a 2 there, and that'll put a 2 there. Won't change anything else. 4022, that is a more acceptable answer. That's going to be E. So we can just play around with it with just a whole bunch of pattern recognition. Is there a better way to see this? Well, now that I'm looking at some of the other numbers, you know, there's one less number here and one less number here. It's 2190 minus 1. This is 1832 minus 1. So for 2006, the sum would be 4020. For 2005, the sum of the one above it and the one below it would be 4018. So there's probably a pattern we could work out there as well. So there's probably lots of ways to do this question. But we only need one, and I chose to focus on our spiral pattern and take a look at those odd squares, carried that pattern down, figured out 2007 was lying on sort of a horizontal line heading towards the 2025, and then we just said, okay, what's the square above? What's the square below? Work backwards from there. And we got 4022 as our final answer. So just pattern recognition and some calculation, and that's all it was. So that was our second last question. We got one more to go, question 25. I hope to see you guys for that one in the next video. Until then, have a wonderful day.